Probably have to edit this.
You're gonna put something up there, some slides.
No, I didn't want to. I mean, I didn't want to go through all the trouble of making all the slides and stuff. So I just like, we'll just talk about it and kind of go over this stuff. And so basically, let me kind of just cover a little bit of why we're here. I started talking a little bit about earlier. I've been going to these meetings at Quest IRA, and they have them every Tuesday. And so in those, they just always talk about like different types of investing, different ways to invest money, different accounts that you can hold, like a self-directed IRA, Roth IRA, Education Savings Account, which is the Coverdell ESA. And so one of the last ones that I was in, they basically went over in detail the Coverdell account, and it had so many good things about it. I love the whole concept of it and what you can do with it, how you can do things with it, how you can invest with it, and how you can kind of control it yourself. So I liked everything about it. And then I started, I would mention it to people that I was out to lunch with or something like that, and everybody's like, "Yeah, I want to hear more about that." So basically, after having 4 or 5, 6 people who say they want to hear more about it, I was like, well, maybe just put together a meeting and see who shows up and see who comes out and see who wants to learn more about this. There's some really interesting ways of going about saving some money and putting some money away for college, or actually not even college. It's just education savings account. So it's important to know that that's one of the benefits of this Coverdell account. It's not just for college, where a lot of other accounts are. So that's all those kind of things, is why I like the Coverdell account so much. So that's why I started talking about it. So basically, let me kind of let you, give you a little bit of information about the Coverdell account, because that's what we're focusing on today is the ESA. It has a fairly low annual contribution, and that's only $2,000 a month, or sorry, $2,000 a year that you can contribute to it. So it's not like it's a huge amount that you can contribute to it. Okay, that's not the great benefit of this account. What you can do with it though is you can invest into assets, income producing assets like real estate, which is my forte, and then all the gains that you get from those investments are completely tax deferred. So anything that you can put $2,000 a year in there of your own money, but then you can also take that money and invest it into something, and all the money that you get from the profits from that's all completely tax deferred.
And does it stay in there?
It stays in there.
Very cool.
And so one of the things that I like about this is you can buy these things not just by yourself, because the first thing that comes to my mind was, what am I going to buy for $2,000?
Right.
Starting off with this, what am I going to buy for $2,000 or even $4,000? And after 2 years, what am I going to get for $4,000 that's going to make any money? But then they started going into, oh, by the way, you can combine it with other people or other accounts that they have. Like I basically dumped my 401k into a self-directed IRA there, and then I use that. That's my retirement fund. And I bought a bunch of assets with that, and I still have some liquid cash in that account that I plan on buying some more assets with. Well, one thing that you can do is I can take my education savings account and combine it with my 401 or my self-directed IRA, and combine that together and go buy some kind of income producing asset. And then the money that comes in, whatever my ESA percentage of buying in with, if it's 5% or 10% or something like that, that much of the percentage of that profit gets put into my ESA, all tax-free. So then I was like, oh, I can combine it.
Still up to just that $2,000 though?
No. The $2,000 is what you can contribute in cash.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
There's unlimited amount of gains.
Gotcha.
And those are all tax deferred.
So it could really grow as big as
your investments allow it to.
Yeah, there really isn't any limit as far as that goes. The only limit is the $2,000 contribution. But you could gain $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in a year, and it's all tax free. I mean, now granted, you have to find the right assets for that kind of stuff. But I'm just saying, theoretically, if you find something like that where you can make that kind of money, then it's all tax free, and it all goes right into your ESA, and you can use it for education. So that's kind of a cool factor with the, you can combine it. And it doesn't mean that I can combine my ESA with my 401k or my IRA. I can combine it with yours and yours and yours. We can pool a bunch of money together from several ESAs from people that are not related in any way, shape, or form. We can pool those together and create an investment fund that's all tax free.
Is that difficult to find? I guess it's called opportunities. So say like it's
to your everyday.
We got $2,000. It's like, okay, I don't have self-directed IRA that I've left to buy any kind of real assets to do something. But is there a place that says, hey, we've got these 20 different ideas. We're looking for people to contribute.
No, that doesn't exist.
I didn't think so.
But that's kind of what I do. And now, first off, now that we're kind of touching on that, the first thing I want to tell everybody here, I do not plan on benefiting personally, not one single penny from this. If this was something where y'all wanted to come to, bring some people together and combine some accounts to buy some assets, I have the opportunities, and I'm doing it with my own business, my personal business, where I income that I use for my living expenses. I also do it with my IRA for my retirement, and I'm gonna do the same thing with this. And so I have those opportunities, but for this particular part of it, I'm not going to benefit at all personally. Personally, the only thing that's going to benefit is my Coverdell account. That's it, and that's going to be for Taylor and Jet's education years down the road. So just to say that right off the bat, this is not something where I'm trying to get some people in together to say, oh, I'm going to make some money off of this. I don't want to do that, and I want everybody to understand that that's not my goal here. My goal is to, if anybody wants to join up with me and put some money together, buy some stuff, we can do that. And all the benefits are going to be within those accounts.
Yeah. So you can get one ESA per kid.
One ESA per kid.
Okay.
Well, actually, that's not completely true. You can get several ESAs for one kid, but the annual contribution still must be $2,000 or less across all of those accounts.
Okay.
Okay. It's tied to their social security number.
Okay.
So like Taylor could have 2 or 10. So like if she had 2 ESAs, I could only put $1,000 into one and $1,000 in the other on an annual basis. So the max, no matter how many they have, the maximum amount that you can contribute is $2,000 for one kid, and it's tied to their social security number. So I don't know if there's really any much benefit of having multiple.
Yeah.
But that kind of brings me to another thing that I like about this is, well, for me, I have 2. So I'm going to have one for Taylor, which I already do.
Right.
I'm going to create another one for Jet. And then at some point, I can take like Taylor's. At some point, she's not going to need it anymore. If there's money left in there, I can roll it down to the next kid.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I can pass that savings down to the next kid. Or like, for instance, if I get to where Taylor doesn't need hers anymore and she's done with education, and Jet is, doesn't need that money, I can roll that down to a grandchild too. I can roll that down to another kid other than Jet. It doesn't have to be Jet. Doesn't even have to be a family member.
18 years or younger.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but the lifetime of these accounts. So Taylor has one. I can contribute $2,000 a year until she's 18 years old. After she's 18, I can no longer contribute to it, but I can still buy assets or get income producing assets with that. And I can still have the income from those assets. Then I can hold it for her until she's 30 years old. Once she's 30 years old, I think I'm saying this right. Once she's 30 years old, I have to liquidate it or pass it on or do whatever it is it has to go away for Taylor. But if you think about that,
you don't pass it on and you liquidate it.
There's some penalty fees if you liquidate it, you'll have to pay some tax penalties or something like that. So, but that
Like with anything.
Yeah. That's with anything. But that's just what's remaining. I mean, at that point, if Taylor's 30 years old, she's going to be finished with college, finished with education. So whatever's left in there is just. I mean, I might just say, okay, Taylor, you finished and all your school was paid for. and there's another $50,000 in here or $20,000.
Happy wedding
And
plans.
either that, just liquidate it, pay the penalties or something like that, of whatever that is, and then say, I might go on vacation.
Right.
You know, I can do whatever I want with that money at that point. Give it to Taylor, go on vacation, I don't care.
Yeah.
Or I could also take that, and now think about the time frame of this. If Taylor's 30 years old,
She has a kid. You can
she
roll
might
into
very
her.
well be a mom by that point.
What a wonderful thing to do for your grandbabies.
If I got like $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in an education savings account, poof, put in the grandkid's name.
Yep.
Whenever it's born.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Can you believe starting out, with $20,000 or $30,000 tax free, and just starting out with that much money for education savings? That's an awesome opportunity.
What a nice thing. to
Is
do
there
for
a general
your
interest rate of having it in there?
No,
No.
it
Just the
doesn't.
fact-
It doesn't gain any money from anything other than assets that you get. I mean, that could be stocks.
Yeah.
You could use that money for stocks. You could use that money for what I use it for. To give you a little bit of information, you know some of it, but to give you a little bit of information about my business is I invest in mortgages, residential mortgage notes. So just like you have a mortgage on your house, most people have a mortgage on their house. I buy those now not necessarily the size of mortgages, in this neighborhood.
Sure.
I don't buy $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 mortgages,
Right.
but I do it on a much smaller scale.
Mhm.
And so I'll buy $20,000 mortgage, $40,000 mortgage, and then that's an income producing asset. I mean,
So you could use this fund to do that.
Mhm.
Very cool.
so that's what I plan on doing with mine. For instance, there was a case study that they kind of went over, and I don't remember 100% of the details, but I know the kind of the gist of it. So basically, there's this guy, and he did real estate stuff, and he basically would put a contract on a house to purchase it, and let's say he might have put a contract and he agreed, had a buyer that was agreeing to a seller who was agreeing to sell their house for $100,000, and he could get a good deal. He's got the contacts, he does the work, he does marketing or whatever, so he can buy a house for $100,000. Well, he might only put down $1,000 deposit on that house. So in this particular case, he used an education savings account to put $1,000 to get a house under contract for $100,000. So he then went in and used his marketing skills, and he marketed this house, and he sold it to a real estate investor for $140,000. So whenever the house sold for $140,000, since the ESA was the owning entity of that contract, that $40,000 in fees went directly into his education savings account off of $1,000 investment.
That's really cool.
So I mean, those kinds of things
That's really
are
cool.
possible. It's not that it's impossible.
Mhm.
It is very possible. Now, I don't specifically do those kinds of things. I do more. My stuff is more long term.
Sure.
Okay, like mine are like 15, 20-year income streams. That works out good for education. The kids are going to be needing to use that for college. About when they were 18 years old. It's like, okay, fine. If I have a mortgage that's got 15 years left on it, or 14, 12 years left on it, it's like perfect timing.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about it. And also, I should also mention, it doesn't have to be used only for college. It can be used for anything. So you put $2,000 a year in there, we get some assets and have some money coming in that's all tax deferred. Well, that's great. Well, you might be at a point where you have like $2,000 or $3,000 cash in those accounts, and you need a computer for high school or middle school, or you need some supplies, you need something. And instead of using your money that you get from you can use this. You can use this for other than college. It can be used for any education, from kindergarten through college.
Wow.
So anything.
So if you were, say, Jackson was struggling with math in high school, and I wanted to do Kumon or tutoring or something like that, you could utilize this as a vehicle. Very cool.
And is it like an HSA where it comes, you have like a debit card or something that you charge into that account?
That's a good question. I don't know the method. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know how I withdraw out of my IRA. I'll just do I fill out a form. You can do them online too. It's called a direction of investment for my IRA. It might be something similar to that, where you can just go and like take a certain amount out or something and go buy
Yeah, that was my only question, because like say you did happen to go to Best Buy or something to buy somebody a laptop.
Yeah.
Because I know like with our HSA account, which it sounds similar to the HSA account, is that we have a debit card basically, and it will only work on medical approved purchases, but it's all tax free when you put it in there.
Right.
So.
I bet this is similar. If it's not a card, probably like submit your receipt maybe, and then it goes to
Maybe.
direct deposit.
Yeah, maybe you have to pay
Sure,
for it. Well,
process.
the thing is, if you have to pay for it up front, then you're still using your tax dollars to pay for that.
That's a good
So I think that's a good point. I'll have to check on that and see if there's like some kind of debit card that you use.
Or, you know, because there are some times, and I have
Yeah.
no problem filling out a form and then mailing a check, and then that's what we have to use, but I didn't know if there was an easier way to do it or not.
Yeah. One of the things that they mentioned in this is you really you need a lot less money whenever you're tax deferred, whenever you're using tax deferred accounts. Like for instance, they were kind of going over like the cost of tuition for a certain period of time or something like that, and they figured out that okay, it's, for this period of time it's $18,000. I would have to make $18,000 to pay for this.
Yes.
But that's because you're having 30% of that being taken out for taxes. So if you had a tax deferred account, it would really only cost you about $13,000 to do the same exact thing, because you don't have to take tax. You don't have to take that 30% of taxes out of that money and then go pay for that stuff.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense in things like that. You don't realize how much extra money you have to make to pay for things when it's tax, when it has taxes. On a tax deferred account, there's a lot of benefits like that it's easy to overlook.
Any tax shelter or way to save from payment is anything that is interesting for us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so bad.
So my IRA, and I would expect that an account like this will be a similar type of income generation. My IRA is making roughly around, it hovers between around 18 to 20% annual return. Now I have a bunch, not a bunch, but I have a good amount of money in there, and I have a good amount of assets that I get payments for every month. Mortgage payments every month. So it's roughly right around 18 to 20%, give or take. And so I still have some more cash in there. So one of the first things I was going to do is go start looking for some mortgages to buy, and then take my $2,000 from for Taylor and my $25,000 in my IRA and go buy something. $2,000 is a small portion of that, but then for the next 15 years, my payments start going in there directly.
Yeah.
And the account is the owner of that. So it's not like I take the money out and I go and buy something in my name. The account itself is the owner of that particular
trust
entity.
buying
Yes.
something. Yeah.
Yes. Like all of my mortgages that are in my IRA, the owner, like if you go look at the tax records for that particular house or something like that in Cincinnati or wherever it is, it shows the lender is Quest IRA for benefit of Tony Watson.
That's really cool.
So the good thing about that is the payments go directly to Quest, and they deposit in my account. I don't even get the checks for it. It goes straight to Quest.
Oh, it's not them.
So it's easy. I don't have to do anything. I don't have checks coming to me. I don't have to figure out, did this check come to me personally, or did this check go to my IRA? I don't have to bring it down to them. I don't have to mail it to them. It goes straight in there, and they deposit it, and it shows up on my account. And then I can see what the payments coming in, and I can figure out what the interest, or not the interest, but I can figure out what the annual yield is and stuff based on all that. So
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
On these mortgages, I don't actually, the borrowers don't ever send me a check personally. I have a servicer that I put in place that only costs like $18 a month. And so the borrower sends a check to that person, and then that person sends it to me. And all I keep them on there for is if they're late, the servicer will tell them, hey, you're late. If it goes beyond being late, they'll take care of loss mitigation type of stuff or whatever. If I have to go to foreclosure or something like that, they'll handle all that kind of coordination stuff.
That's a bargain at $18.
You're the lender.
Yeah, exactly. I basically created a bank. I made my retirement fund as a bank, and I created a company called Cardinal Funding Group. That's a bank. So basically that's what it is. I buy these. I don't really originate very many loans, but I buy already originated residential mortgages.
So why Quest IRA? What does Quest do differently that, say, could you go and get an ESA just from someone else, or?
I don't know who offers Coverdell ESA. I know
Okay,
there are other
gotcha.
education savings accounts, like the 529 plan or something like that.
Okay.
And there's some other ones. I was hoping Ken would show up because he had some information, a lot more information than I had about the other accounts that are available. But what I like about this, that the accounts that he was talking about don't have, is that these are from college or from kindergarten through college. Like the 529, I think that's only available for colleges.
It's much
For
more
college,
restricted.
for higher education. Yeah. So that's what I liked about this. Is
We don't know what our
it's
kids are
for,
gonna do.
yeah.
I mean, I have plans, but that doesn't mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Buy me some
Our kids
cars
are not
and pay my
gonna
retirement. That's what I'm hoping for.
drive.
The other reason I like Quest is because it's located right down there off Park Road, right off of Barker Cypress. So I can drive down to, and I just did. I went there and got all these things just the other day. So I can go down there though, and I can go talk to somebody and say, "Hey, I need some assistance on this account. I don't understand this," and they'll sit me down in a conference room just similar to this and say, "Okay, let's go over it."
Is it like a membership thing, or they're?
No, they don't sell anything, but they offer these accounts, and they're the custodian for these accounts.
Okay, gotcha.
But they don't sell assets. They don't sell anything.
And where are they located at?
Right at Park Row, just off of Barker Cypress. So if you take Barker Cypress down to Park Row and take a left, it's like maybe a quarter mile or half mile down. So I just like that they're close.
Yeah. Can I ask a situational question to make sure I understand? I think
Absolutely.
okay, so for example, when I left my last job, I had the option to buy shares, right, in a pre-IPO company.
Mhm.
So pretend like I had my $2,000 in this. I could have used that $2,000 plus however else I wanted to pay for the rest to buy those shares. And if those shares would have IPO'd, would that percentage of that $2,000, would that have fit back into there? Like, can you invest in things like that?
I think you can.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't know 100%, but I think you can. I know you can invest in like companies and stuff like that, using these kinds of accounts, but I don't know all of the limitations or what you're capable of.
Mhm.
That would be. I mean, I can ask the question.
That's all
But,
right.
but I don't-
was
I don't
trying
know
to
it right
say,
off the
this
top of
would
my
be
head.
really cool to
Yeah.
do something like that.
Yeah.
Because if it does
Right.
go public, then that would be a really interesting way to keep
Not
that
have to
money.
pay taxes on it. Yeah.
And then
Basic-
it would be all for tax.
Basically, what Quest does, they're a custodian only. They don't sell anything, so they basically allow you to invest in whatever you want as long as it meets the government standards.
That's good.
So that, I mean,
It's the
you
same
can.
for myself.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And so take that. I mean, you can call them up and
You
and
could
talk.
buy a house, you could buy a piece of stock.
Right?
You should,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was thinking too.
Well, I know
That's really interesting.
I'm almost positive you can buy stock, but and I know you can buy houses because I've bought many. I just don't know, like for that type of that's a very specific situation.
Sure.
Shares before it's a public entity that might.
Might only be able to you and not the IR or the Coverdell account.
Right, like
which is
how to
something
find it. Mhm.
So you had originally mentioned that it would, put it in there, that $2,000 is tax deferred, but it's still tax free if you use it on one of the educational aspects, whether it's books or school
Yeah.
or supplies. Okay.
Yeah, the $2,000 that you put in there, honestly, that's already taxed because that's money that you have in your checking account that you made from a job that got taxed on the income. But right, so if you take that $2,000, technically that's already taxed money. So you can take that and put that in there, and then you can take that $2,000 and invest in something, and any money that's made off of that investment is not taxed. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
I
again.
mean, if you have the money, obviously it got taxed at some point because you have the money.
Yeah. So
Unless you get to take a deduction on your return.
Well, because the reason I brought it up, because like.
So your IRA contributions are deducted on your return.
Yeah, I think if you did that, you'd have to make it go directly into the IRA, right? Your employer.
No, usually you can. So every year, before the 15th, you do your, like right now it's $4,000 or $5,000 you put in the IRA.
Mhm.
You can take that as a deduction on your return.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
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 I mean, you still pay the Social Security and the Medicare on it, but
Yeah.
you can pay that federal income tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the reason I asked again, because I'm more familiar with the HSA, is just because I've dealt with that, is my employer pays into that, and that's non-taxable. So it goes into that account without paying taxes on it.
Yeah.
Ahead of
That's
time.
pre-tax.
Yeah.
Pre-tax dollars that goes into that.
Just like a 401ks at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Another thing that I happen to know is about these, and this is more time sensitive. I plan on utilizing this. If this is something that y'all want to get into, and I mean, even if you want to just do it yourselves, you know, not necessarily combine it with others or have anything to do with me, but you just like it and you want to go do it yourself. Right now, if you open up a Coverdell account and you do that before April 15th, you can put $2,000 in there for 2017,
Oh, that's nice.
and then you can put another $2,000 in there for 2018.
Because you're getting
So
the
you
benefit
can
of it.
you can basically start out with $4,000, and the reason I know that is because I actually went on December 31st. I was like, I started freaking out because I had planned to do it right at the end of December and put in for 2017 and then for 2018. And so I was doing it on December 31st, and I was like, hey, can I get this? Get the paperwork in? And can you? They're like, yeah, don't worry about it. And then they said, yeah, if you want, you know, as long as you do it before this April 15th, we can backdate it for 2017. Oh,
That's awesome.
so then you can start with 4 instead of 2.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like the timing is really impeccable for that.
Yeah.
This is really interesting. Like it's amazing all these things that exist that you don't really know.
I know.
And this, so Caden will be going to more of he goes to a private school, and then he'll be going to boarding school in like a year, 2 years. So this doesn't have to be like a public school type deal. Okay.
So y'all can use this thing.
So we could use it for a while.
Yeah.
The good thing about what I like about the mortgages, and which is why I do that for my business, is and for my IRA, I can take money out and buy an asset, and then that money on every month, you know, I get deposits that are put into my account, so it grows on a monthly basis. I like that better than stocks, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with stocks. It's just I'm just saying for me personally, I like it better, because with stocks, you know, you might say you spend, you know, $2,000 or $5,000 on stocks, and then you wait and maybe it grows. And let's say best case scenario, it grows in good amounts, but that money is all tied up until you sell that stock.
Yeah.
Like you can't do anything else with the money. There's no income generated off of that during that time where that is growing out to a higher value.
It's not really real until you take it.
Right, and then whenever you take it out, then your growth stops. And then you no longer own that, so then your growth stops. But with mortgages, let's say, you know, we raise, you know, put some money together and we raise $20,000. You go and buy a mortgage for $20,000. Well, the mortgages that I buy them at a discount. I don't buy them at like if they might owe $26,000 or $27,000, $28,000, I can buy that for $20,000. So right off the bat, I got a lot of equity in there. So the borrower still owes me $27,000. Well, they start putting that money in that account. You know, they're going to end up paying like $38,000, $40,000 over the period of that term. You know, that I only paid $20,000 for. But let's say, you know, 5 years into it, after all those payments, after 5 years, well, I got another $6,000 or $7,000 sitting in that account. I can pool that up with, you know, some people again and buy a second one, and then buy, you know, 2 or 3 years later, buy a third one, because then I got 2 incomes, you know, streams coming in, you know. So just grow that and buy, you know, as soon as there's enough money and there's the right opportunity, buy another one. And then whenever, you know, our kids are like around the 15-year mark, you know, then we start liquidating. Because we can sell those loans, just like I buy the loans, we can sell them too. Yeah. So we can sell off those loans if we want to, or else don't. Just keep them, hold them in there. Because the thing is, you know, when the kid's 15 years old, you know, you're not going to need the entire amount. Hey, come on in. You're not going to need the entire amount for their college education all at once.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, if you got $10,000 or something like that in there, and they're 18 years old, it's like, okay, great, go in and use the money that you need, and then you still got money coming in every single month. That's growing that account on a monthly basis, and then as you need the money, and you also remember you can still put your $2,000 in there every year too.
So you can keep your nest egg.
Yeah. You keep a minimum amount in there to cover any expenses that you need, and all these accounts are all managed by you. Okay, it's not like if we buy an asset or something like that, might like one person to kind of manage what happens with that, but the individual accounts and the money that comes into those accounts, that's completely yours to do whatever you want. So if we get some people together and we say, okay, I want to do this, I can go look for something that meets all of our criteria. And I mean, I'm talking about, very low risk stuff. It's not going to be like, making millions or anything, but it's going to be a good, consistent type of paycheck every month, long-term consistent pay. But that money that gets into your account, 5 years down the road, if I say, hey, we want to raise some more money and buy another one. If you don't want to, you just want to keep your cash in there available for whatever personal needs that you have, coming up. You just say, hey, I'm not in it for this one.
Yeah.
Go ahead without me. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And you do whatever you want. So anyway, these are the types of things that I'm thinking about. These are the types of things that I'm going to do. And if none of y'all want to do this with me, that's perfectly fine. I'm still going to do it. And if you like it and you look into it, call Quest, talk to some people up there. I encourage you to do so. And if you like it and you want to get involved with it, then let me know and we can kind of do some things together. So, and that's basically all of it. I mean, there's not really much more to it than that.
Yeah,
It
really
is.
cool.
It's not difficult stuff. It's not rocket science by any means.
That's awesome.
The mortgages that I buy, just to give you an idea of like what I do, you've heard some of it.
It's a great presentation if you guys have not listened to it.
Yeah, there are. I know that like there's some people, some friends of mine, they're like, yeah, I'm not into these high risk type of things. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about because these are not high risk. But I look at all kinds of information about the account. I look at payment history. I look at the amount of down payment that they put whenever they first bought the house. If somebody put down like 10% or 15% on a house or something like that, and then they've made payments consistently on time for the last 2 years, they're going to continue doing that.
Yeah, that's like on a house, right? Like,
Right.
we just do the right thing.
Exactly. That's going to continue to happen, and they're going to continue to pay. And those are the type of assets that I'm going to be looking for this type of thing. Like now in my business, I do a little bit higher risk stuff. I actually target mortgages that don't pay, because then I go and refinance them. I can get I get those at a severe discount.
Sure.
And then I can go and refinance them and refinance a lot more than what I pay for the loan. And it makes sense and it makes good money. But for this, I don't want to have to be dealing with that kind of stuff. I don't want to get into real difficult situations. I just want consistent pay, and I want it tax free. So that's what I plan to do with this. I'm going to look at their taxes, make sure their tax bills are paid on an annual basis, make sure they're not delinquent on that, make sure they don't have a bunch of liens, against stuff, and basically take those types of things and say, okay, I've done all the due diligence on this particular asset. This is the purchase price. If we got enough people to buy into this, we can, pull some money together from an ESA and purchase this, and then you'll start getting this much income on a monthly basis. So
say it took all the money. So your cap's at $2,000. You basically go down to zero in a sense, and then every month you get it's about $50 a month, and then over 15 years you have $2,000 plus all those payments, so maybe $4,000 or $5,000 to stop that $2,000.
Yeah.
Yes. What it would come out.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yes. So let me also say, it's not going to be. I don't want to have anybody have like false hopes of this. It's not going to be something where we can put $2,000 in there, never touch it again, and just make a bunch of money and have magic money show up whenever it's time for education savings, for college education. That's not going to happen. What I see, the way I see this working is dump $2,000, maybe $4,000 into an account, bring 4, 5, 6 people together and buy an asset. And I wouldn't get down to zero. Like I would keep like about $100 or $200 or something like that in there. And
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. I mean budget.
It's okay. So keep a couple $100s in there whenever we first buy our first asset, and then every month, we might get a $500 payment that is split between everybody. So yeah, it might be $50, $60, $75, and then that'll go on for years. But the following year, dump another $2,000 in there.
Find another asset. And
then, maybe 3 years down the road, we get a second asset. Three years down the road, that's $6,000 divided, or multiplied by, 4 or 5 people. Then we have enough to buy a second one.
Yep.
Then you basically are going to double your monthly income. So let's say if we do it now, then in 3 years from now, we could buy it. 3 or 4 years from now, we could buy a second one. So that would put Taylor right at 10 years old.
Could you transfer money between ESA to ESA? Meaning if I have 3 kids and one of the assets we buy does really well for whatever reason, has a bunch of money and I want to try to keep them all equal, can I transfer, $1,000 from one into the other?
I'd have to ask. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if you can transfer.
I'm going to contact these guys anyway, the way it sounds, but I was just curious.
I know you can pass it down to another kid, but that's like whenever Taylor is at an age where she no longer needs the account, I can pass it down to Jet. Or like I said earlier, I could pass it down to a grandchild, if there was one at that point, or something like that.
Okay.
So I know you can do that. I don't know if you can transfer money from one account to the other without paying any penalties. I know I can take money out of my IRA and take a penalty and dump it into my ESA, but I'll take a penalty for it. But honestly, think about it, the penalty is about 10%. So if I take $2,000, which I actually plan to do, take $2,000 out of my IRA, pay $200 penalty. That's not that bad. That's not that bad. Pay a $200 penalty, dump that $2,000 into my ESA. So I mean, if you think about it in terms like that, it's like, okay, I paid $200, but I mean that's okay. I got about $1,000 a month coming into it.
So this, and sorry, so with the ESA, as opposed to the other conversation that you and I had, this ESA is percentage ownership. I mean, there's 4 people in it, everybody actually owns 25%.
Right.
So the return on investment is divided by 4.
Yeah.
So it's not like the other conversation you and I have been having separate from this. Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So it is.
And I believe that is more of a government type of.
Sure.
It has to follow some terms like if you buy something and the money that you put in accounts for 25% of the purchase of that, then you're 25% owner. I don't think it's something where you can do a contractual thing where you buy in 25% of it, but you actually own 75% of it.
Right.
I don't think you can do that. Whatever your amount that you bought was. If it's 25% or 35% or 5%, then that's what you get out of it.
And again, sorry, I'm trying to make it
That's okay.
So the Quest IRA people, though. So you're saying, I feel like you said we need to speak to them. So let's say we all decide, just to make it happy, we all decide to put in our $2,000 or whatever it is, and so is that run through you, or do you administrate the funds, or what is your role in it, or does Cardinal have anything to do with it?
No.
Okay.
One thing I want to make everybody clear on, and I've told y'all this, I personally don't plan on benefiting at all from this. Any benefit that I get, I want it to go into my education savings account.
Oh, you mean as a...
So I'm not going to make any commission. If we, like I have, I have access to inventory. These loans that I buy, I have access to that, and I get those at a big discount, and I mark them up. Like I'll sell them to people, and I'll mark them up. I'm not gonna mark these up. Like if I can buy it for $20,000, I'm gonna come to y'all and say, hey, I can buy something for $20,000, or our ESA can buy something for $20,000. I'm not gonna mark it up and take a $1,000 commission off of that. Whatever benefit I get, I'm just gonna push that all into my ESA, so my ESA benefits the most from it.
But in that respect, you will be the administrator of the selective ESA?
If y'all wanted me to, I would be happy to do so because I do it. That's my business.
How would Quest interact with you then if you're choosing the asset?
Like my IRA that I have a bunch of loans in there, and I use servicers for that. The borrowers pay my servicer, and the servicer sends the money directly to Quest, and the money gets in put into my account. It's hands
You're
off.
just providing the information.
It's
on
hands
the
off.
asset.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're going to pick something a lot low risk. You're going to pick something that I get you. I get that. So you're just really the only service you're really providing is just naming the asset.
Yeah, I'll look at some of them, present a list to whoever's interested, and if you say, hey, I might show like this one is good and this is the monthly payment. This one is good for these reasons. This is the monthly payment or whatever. Different year, different time frames. Like one of them might be for 10 years, one of them might be for 5 years. Higher interest, lower time frame, lower interest, longer period of time, things like that. And then we can make a decision collectively, that everybody agrees on, everybody's comfortable with, and then we'll just buy it and start watching the money come in.
So we just have the huge benefit of your knowledge and
yes.
you're doing this for us.
Yeah, like I said, I don't intend to benefit personally from this at all.
You have delayed, which might not be a bad thing, because it's probably that type of investment is probably more than I've ever seen on any stocks or anything.
Yeah.
Actually, a good year of a stock, you're getting 18, 20% like I've seen the last year. So
yeah.
Not consistently.
Right.
Years.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
not counting the last months.
Yeah. I mean, I've told lots of people, you can get this, you can get in like on something like Bitcoin. If you got Bitcoin last year, you're making 1,000% return. Great. This is not like that. It's not going to be like that. It's never going to happen like that. But what I can not promise you, but what I can show you that I've seen on a consistent basis is a 15, 16, 18, 20% return on an annual basis year after year.
So what would be so right now it's called March 1st. What would be the timing? How long does it take you to find an asset? And, say we were all on the ball and set the accounts, how long it takes to set up an account, get it funded?
My inventory, I have a membership with one place, and I have inventory from other places too. But typically on the first Thursday of every month is whenever I get new inventory. So first Thursday of every month, I'm just plugging away, looking at numbers. Like don't bother me, I'm busy, But and that's what I do. So they come out every month, and I'll just start looking at some, and whenever the money is available, like the money has to be available. It's a quick turnaround. Like if I find something. Basically what I do is I hit a purchase button on a website and say, this is the one I want. And they expect it to be funded within 10 to 15 days.
That's fair.
But how long does it take Quest to send? I mean, so if you're looking at the first Thursday of the month, which would be next Thursday, actually.
Yeah.
I believe that is March 1st.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so next Thursday is March 1st, so you're going to be looking then, that seems like a tight time frame, but we decided that this was a thing to do, and we all got on the ball and contacted
We could.
Yeah. But it's a month,
it's like there's not really a huge benefit to jumping on it and getting something in March.
Yeah.
This is a long-term thing. So I mean, if it takes us to April, now I don't know if you were in here whenever I mentioned this, but one thing with the Coverdell accounts at Quest. If you open one now, before April 15th, if you fund it with $2,000, that's the maximum contribution annually. If you fund it with $2,000, you can backdate that to have it a 2017 contribution.
Which means you can technically contribute twice.
Right. And then you can technically put another 2,000 in there for 2018, and then have $4,000 to start with instead of 2,000. But the account has to be created, which it only takes them a day or two, maybe 3 days or something like that to create the account, and then you can fund it immediately after that.
Very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
I like it too.
You and I have discussed this before.
Yeah.
And I've been to chicken yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I think, you know, I mean, you and I can leave off the other as well.
Mhm.
I think given what you've spoken, what the amount we've spoken on and the discount there,
Yeah.
I think what I'll probably do is take that. I'll take that delta.
Mhm.
It's actually, that makes it easy.
Yeah.
And I'm just take that delta.
Dump it right in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you're making money on some money,
Right.
and then taking that money and dumping into an ESA, and then
Plus, and I'm out and I'm investing.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I think you and I probably need to meet again, like maybe Tuesday.
Okay.
For March 1st.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm out of town already. I don't think I can be ready by Thursday.
Yeah, and there's other things too. It doesn't have to be just a residential mortgage. Like and going to these meetings at Quest, there's there's a huge business of private funding that most people have no idea that it's happening. But there's a huge private funding business, private lending business. And another scenario that one of the employees there, he was telling me that he had like a IRA or an ESA, one of the accounts, and he had like $500 in there. He's like, I'm gonna do it $500. And somebody came in and they needed they called it gap funding.
Mhm.
Like they were ending their term of a private loan, but the house was like under contract, and it was like a month or something like that before it was going to get sold or something like that. So basically, he went to all the other employees there and said, hey, you got an account with like a few $1,000s in it or something like that? And they're like, yeah. So they basically pooled some money together, and he took his $500 and dumped it in there. And he said, we'll charge them 12% interest on the loan. Also, at origination, there will be 2 points paid. Does everybody know what points are? A point is 1%.
Okay.
So he's getting 12%, but at origination, he gets an additional 2 points up front. So, like, let's say if it was a $100,000 loan, it would be $1,000 as a point. So 2 points is $2,000. So whatever the amount was, he got everybody else that was pooling their money together. He said, hey, would y'all be happy with just the 12%? And they were like, yeah, I'll be happy. He's like, okay, what I'd like to do is I would like the 2 points to go directly into my account by myself, and then everybody else splits the 12%. And they're like, okay, that's fine. So he had his $500. He got 2 points off of like a $50,000 loan or something like that, dumped into his account. So then he ended up with like $2,000 in a matter of a month, and then the whole loan got paid off, completely whenever the house sold. So he went from like $500 to $2,000. And yeah, I mean, think about it in terms of percentage of increase.
Yeah.
How are you going to make $1,500 off of $500 in a month? Things like this is how that happens.
It's really interesting.
So there's all kinds of these little interesting opportunities that come up. And maybe you can go into these meetings, I find something like that, and I'll say, hey, everybody, not really a private mortgage or a residential mortgage, but there's this opportunity that came up. Would y'all be interested? If we all agree, and the thing is, like, if all of us except him agrees, it's like, okay, well, we can do it ourselves. If it's just, I'm not saying you personally, I'm just saying if it's just not for you, you don't want to necessarily be involved in it, or for whatever reason, you say, hey guys, I'm out on this one. Let me know on the next one. Okay, well, he's out, but we can still do it if we have the money between ours.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, this one's not for me, go on without me. It's perfectly fine.
I guess here's my question, because we are talking education savings.
I have to go get Jack. I'm so sorry.
Okay. You gotta leave?
Yes.
Okay. No problem. Thanks for popping in.
No, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
See you later.
Go shoot some lasers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll just sit on the sidelines and make sure my colors leaves on the laser and everything. It's good to see you
Good to
guys.
see you as well.
Thank
Take
you
care.
for doing this.
You're welcome.
It was nice to meet you. Take care. Good luck with the kiddos.
So I think I know the answer, because as you said, you're just finding. But we are, let's say, okay, you find an asset, and we get enough money together for the asset, and we do it. but they're all still obviously separate accounts.
Yeah.
They are linked. They are only linked asset to asset. Now, if we get into an asset, let's say, for example, that is a mortgage, and therefore, and let's say maybe that mortgage has 10 years left to pay off, we don't find ourselves in a situation where somebody's going to pay it off early or anything. We are linked we are connected to that asset for the length of the loan.
Yeah.
So it could be 10 years, it could be 2 years when they sell the house.
Right.
Pay it off.
Right.
And so let's say they do that. In 2 years, they pay it off. But they are still all, I'll just use 4 because it's 4 of us here.
Sure.
But we are still all 4 separate accounts. So at that point, to your point just now, it's still my money. So if it's something I did once, and it still goes through Quest. So, I mean, there'd be no reason not to climb on board, but it really is an asset to asset, investment to investment conversation.
Yeah, so that one closes, then he says, oh, we got to use more assets. They're like, well, that one was pretty good, but I don't really want to do it on this next one.
Yeah, I want to be more conservative. I want to be more crazy.
And,
I want to,
well, the thing is, your accounts are completely separate. Even if we own, you think of it as if there's 4 of us, you own 25% of this one asset. You're not linked to his account by any means.
No, I'm thinking
you're
more
just
the asset. Like,
right.
I mean, because in 5 years, no one knows what could happen. I mean, we could all live in separate states in 5 years, and not that there's not email and
right.
communication.
That really, being in, the locale of somebody doesn't really make any difference. But let me try to think of a scenario where maybe I might not want to buy into certain one asset or something like that. Like if we did one and it made some money and then it paid out, and then we didn't have any asset, and we were actively looking for another one. Let's say you came up and you said, hey, we got this asset. I might say, you know what, we're starting a new school, a private school or something like that, and there's some additional funding, additional costs to that school. So I'm going to use this education savings money that I have to pay for that. Yeah. So I can't liquidate, or I can't use that money to buy an asset. I need to keep that money available for me to use.
Like, you may actually have to start paying for
school
school.
Yeah. And if that, in a scenario like that, I might say, I love the scenario, or I love the asset that you have, but I'm going to have to stay out of this one because I need to get my money.
Or flip side, this doesn't seem like a scenario, but or you get to the point where you go, you know what,
I've had enough.
College is covered. I don't need to contribute anymore.
Right. It might be
the way things going. I don't see that happening. But but I mean, feasibly, you get to the point where you're like, okay, I've got enough money stocked away. I don't want to tie up any more money. Yeah. So that I have to make that decision. Well, when kids are out of school. Let's
say years down the road where it's 2 years before a kid is going to start college, where you're going to have some significant cost, and I come up to you with an asset that's going to be over the period of 10 years. Well, you might not want to get into that because you don't want to have your money tied up for 10 years, but you need a sizable amount of money in the next 2 years. So there's all kinds of scenarios of reasons why one person may not want to get in on a specific asset, and that's perfectly fine. There's no obligation at any point to do anything.
Oh, one thing you did say, so say you're in that situation, college is covered, you got enough, and you're like, okay. You can still put that money to work when it grows. Once they're done with it, just pass it on to another one.
Right.
Growing.
Well, like if if a kid, when all is said and done, let's say both my kids are out of college.
Well, they got scholarships.
What's that?
They got scholarships.
Yeah, exactly. Or one decides to go to the military or something like that. But let's say, whatever the situation is, when they're both. When the second one's 23 and they're out of school or whatever, and there's 20 grand left, is that, can they keep that money? I mean, let's say they don't have kids for another 10 years. Can that money stay there for another 10 years?
So you missed that part, but the time frames of these accounts are: you open the account, you can contribute the $2,000 annually up until the kid is 18 years old.
Okay.
After 18, you can no longer contribute, but you can still purchase assets, and you can generate income from 18 until 30 years old. At 30 years old, the account has to go away. Now,
what does that mean?
That means if Taylor turns 30 years old, I either need to liquidate it and take a penalty,
Okay,
tax penalty.
So you take a tax.
I liquidate it, or
Pass it to someone else.
pass it on to another kid. At that point, I might pass it on to Jet. But also think about how old Taylor would be. She'd be 30 years old whenever that needed to happen. She may very well have a kid by then.
Could.
I could pass it on to that grandkid.
Right. Well, that's what but yeah, on the flip side, I didn't have a kid until I was 40. So that's why,
Yeah.
On the other side, they don't have a kid. So
Yeah.
you just liquidate it.
Yeah, just liquidate. I mean, let's say if there's $20,000 or $30,000 in there, and you don't have, Taylor doesn't need anything to be purchased or anything. Yeah, might go on a nice vacation or something like that, or do whatever, or take that money, liquidate it, pay the tax penalty, dump it into my IRA, and buy an asset in there. I don't know, something. I mean, there's always something you can do with it, and it doesn't have to be penalized. If you pass it on to another kid, there's no penalty.
Yeah.
But if you liquidate it, then you'll pay the tax penalties for that.
Yeah, so the question is, you have to pass the whole thing, or can you just pass a part of it? You're talking about.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna call them. I love the way it sounds.
Yeah.
And I agree. I'd rather have an account that I can pull out of to invest with and then drop it back in there, as we've talked about before.
Yeah.
And you guys have met as far as the it's having an account like that would be a great thing.
So if let's just say, hey, I'm 100% in, and I talk to Wes. Given that this is the conversation we're having, and we're talking about our accounts being linked to an asset, what do we need to tell them, or is there a contact that Wes we should speak to that knows that we're having this conversation?
As far as setting up the account, you don't need to tell them anything.
If we need to tell them, I'm assuming when we said we don't need to tell them.
Like I said, these accounts will be completely separate.
No,
They're of your own.
But I'm assuming we need to tell them what our investment intentions are.
No? Why?
Well, because we can't have an RA. It's got to be a lot of the sum investment.
No, if you open up the Coverdell ESA, that's what it's. That's
You just go to
you're just opening up the
cash.
account.
It'll
You
show
can
that.
do anything with the account that you want.
So starting cash, right?
Yeah.
So starting cash.
Oh, so
that-
it's basically literally like a savings account.
Yeah.
It's just sitting there.
Mhm.
It's not invested into it's not as like I'm saying if I open up a Vanguard thing,
Yeah.
they're gonna ask me where I want what asset.
No,
class I
they don't
want.
ask you.
Okay, it won't be like
No.
that. Okay.
It's not like
We're
that.
just putting in the cash, and then once
We choose to do.
Yeah,
something
whenever the
like
opportunity
that.
comes up, and I say, okay, here's the asset, everybody likes it, and we all buy in, then there'll be some probably some contracts or contractual obligations or something like that we need to fill out that says, your account, my account. These are all equal partners shares or something like that of this. That will be the instrument that ties it together to purchase the loan or the asset.
Yes.
So, but whenever you set it up, you don't have to specify anything. You don't have to tell them what it's for or anything.
So let's say I set it up and then got agencies just there, but and then got in a car accident and a phone forgot about it. So my $2,000 would sit there, but it also wouldn't grow either. It would
Right.
Sit there. Okay.
Right. And whenever you fill it up or fill it out, you'll specify that your kid is the beneficiary or something like that. So if anything did happen to you, it would go to them.
say we each put in $2,000, we're a couple thousand short of a really good one that you found. Could we
Fund it yourself?
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
It's gonna be all Coverdell dollars?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be Coverdell dollars. It has to be a tax deferred account
Tax deferred dollars.
But like I said, I got money in an IRA that's right there. I got about 25 grand that's just sitting there that I've been waiting to do something with. So
Yeah.
if that's the case and we're a few $1,000s short, I'm fine with taking taking the whatever the deficient amount is and dumping that from my IRA. Now then my IRA is going to have some ownership of that, and then some of the money will go into there.
Right. It'll be
But-
it'll be an owner. Flat.
Right. It would just be like another account that's part of it.
And it's $2,000 per year per beneficiary.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So 4 for me. And
Yeah.
2 for Tom.
Right.
And feasibly 8 if I really wanted to.
Yeah, if you wanted to do one and do the contribution for 17 and 2,000 for 18, then yeah, you could dump $8,000 in there. But for instance, like the loans that we had talked about, you could fund something like that as well. I mean, it's a loan. I mean, it's a private loan.
Yeah.
It's a secured loan. Is make sure that's clear. It's not an unsecured loan. It's a secured loan, and we could do something like that as well. And then in that case, I would be on the hook for making that payment.
Right. Then I would be basically funding you.
Right.
Because I would be investing.
You could, but see the problem that would come up there is if I had to use my IRA to fund anything or something like that, I can't do that. I can't commingle those funds or something like that. So,
No, that makes sense. But also, once again,
somebody else, somebody else that needs a $20,000 loan or $15,000 loan or something like that I might know of through my networking. I could say, hey guys, this opportunity came up. This guy needs $15,000. We got that much, combined, collectively in our accounts. Do y'all want to fund this? It's going to be a 6-month turnaround.
I see that. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
But sorry, I gotta get going. I'm feeling very well still. But yeah, we'll talk later this week anyway, when all that stuff comes out. But this might be a better opportunity since at the moment I don't have a bunch to put in. If we go in on a property with a bunch of different people, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You, as far as you know, you free on Tuesday, maybe Tuesday sometime. Basically anytime before.
I might not be. I need to check with Jennifer. She might have an appointment at 10 a.m. Tuesday.
Or maybe
Okay.
We need to get the paperwork signed and the other thing. And we need to write to a check. And then we can, if I have any questions about this, I'll